when the world's too dark of a place to be, and you need an escape from reality. Open up those pages, it's sci-fi or fantasy, whatever genre you please. And join a book club, 'cause you won't read it on your own. Join a book club, so you'll be held accountable. It's just a means to an end, but you're doing it with your friends, so join the book club by DLC.
Hello there, book clubbers. Welcome back. Hope you're having a good week. Hope you got a little boogie in your seat. We're finishing a book? Question mark? It feels like, it's not even a cliffhanger. It's just a I'm stopping here thing. Very interesting. We're going to get into all of it. I'm Jeff Kanata here with Lana Bashinsky. Hi, Lana.
Hello. Weird endings are not, it's still satisfying to see. Well, we have this sort of like trifecta in one, at least seeing the next title card come up.
Yeah.
There's like a satisfaction.
It's a new chapter one.
Okay. Exciting.
Yeah. Very interesting stuff. Really excited to talk about it with you, to see how this book leaves us. And the appendix is weird, interesting, fascinating. So much good stuff to jump into. But we like to start each episode with a non-spoiler topic, ideally sent in by you, the viewers, to dlcfeedback@gmail.com. And we got an interesting one this week. This comes from our friend True No Limit. True No Limit says, hey, Lana and Jeff, given that you can experience a plot twist for the first time only once, would you rather experience that plot twist first in a book form or in movie form? I found myself asking this question after watching Project Hail Mary. I honestly think that's one of the few stories that, having read the book first, takes away from the movie experience. Love the club. I'm actually ahead of you guys on Book of the New Sun series because I couldn't stop myself from reading ahead. So I'm going back and reading the Malazan books. I have 3 years of DLC Book Club to catch up on. It's so interesting to see how the show has evolved in just 3 years. Another question, if I may, how has the book club changed your reading habits, if at all? Jeff, has your reading speed improved with 3 years of the book club? Sincerely, True No Limit.
Cute.
I don't know if it has. I'd like to think so. I don't know. I don't even know how to measure that. It still feels slow to me. But let's get to this original question. Plot twists. Are you I want to read the book before I see the movie kind of gal?
I typically am a want to read the book before I see the movie gal. Just because I love seeing how things were adapted. I love seeing what the original intent was. And then I think there's a different and special art form to taking something from one form of media and into another and finding the pieces that are enjoyable. I'm sure everybody who's like read a book and loved a book and seen a movie adaptation of something has had the experience of being like, but
Yeah.
you don't know what you're missing. The book is so good. The Expanse TV series is probably one of the more recent ones that I'm like, you don't know what you're missing. The books they rush through so much in the TV show because they're like truncating like 4 books into one. There's always that. But interesting that you brought up Project Hail Mary. Movie recently came out and it's getting so much hype about the movie.
Have you seen it?
I did recently see it, but I haven't read the book. It's been a rare one. Usually I'll put off watching a movie for years until I read the book. And in this case, because it's a sci-fi spectacle and I love sci-fi so much that I was like, I want to see it in theaters, whatever it is. I want to experience space.
Yeah.
And I had seen 0 things about Project Hail Mary.
That's the best.
I'm not going to spoil it here, obviously.
Right.
I don't want to do unto others that I did not have done to me. I'd seen posters of Ryan Gosling, Probably the closest I came to spoilers is people being like, he's never wearing his glasses, whatever, like little commentary about the costuming. I didn't know anything about his character. I didn't know anything about the
thing.
Anything. I didn't know anything about the thing. And it's been a really, really long time since I was so deeply delighted by a twist. I didn't see any Trailers,
This is
nothing.
why.
I saw
This
nothing.
is why on my film cast, I'm a proponent of the unsullied lifestyle, as I like to call it, where you just go in completely blind. You avoid trailers. You avoid everything. If you know you want to see a movie, just go see it. Just go see it pure. It's
the
often
best.
delightful.
Because they'll try and they'll show you the most bombastic things in a trailer to get you to it. And that doesn't bother a lot of people. But I'm so with you. But even as somebody who doesn't watch movie trailers, also, not to be as unsullied, but just because I don't need it, I'm like, I'd rather have those little surprises. Usually I'm like, oh, that was delightful. I didn't know anything about it and I loved it. This is the first time I think in years that I've seen a movie that has a twist that I knew nothing about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if it's Project Hail Mary necessarily has a twist. It has fundamentally what it's about is not immediately evident. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Well, I want to get to that in a second, but I want to rephrase the question slightly to you again and say, how do you prefer a twist? Do you prefer reading a twist or seeing a twist? How does a twist land most impactfully to you? In the reading, where you are deciding the pace that I'm saying that the twist happens based on whether you're going to continue reading or not, or the twist happens on a TV show or a movie where you have no control over the pace. The filmmaker is controlling the pace.
That is, I do think that's an interesting reframing of it. Because if a twist is done exceptionally well, I think I prefer watching it because it is so immersive, and if you really can't pick up on it and then it happens, it's sort of like a shock to you. And the way I read, which is my eyes will skip forward frequently, I will sort of unravel a twist before it comes. Or I feel like there's so much information in books that I am trying to Sherlock Holmes it before it even shows up. So I feel like I'm less likely to detect it and then have it dropped on me in a film-based media than I am in a book. But that's only the 1% of the time when it is the optimal circumstances. And then the 99% of the time, I'd rather read because I'd rather read.
Yeah. Interesting. I love
What about you?
Well, I'll talk about, I did read Project Hail Mary right when it was published because I'd been a big fan of the Martian. I didn't love Artemis as much, but I have some issues with Andy Weir's writing. I don't always love it, but I think what he does well, he does really, really well. And I do think it's interesting that our emailer, True No Limit, talks about how this is, for him, it was one of the movies that is better having not read the book first. And I would argue that, obviously I didn't have that experience, so I don't know, but certainly Drew Goddard, who is the screenwriter who adapted Project Hail Mary, I think improved many aspects of it, which is not something I usually say about adaptations of novels. But I think Andy Weir's strengths are not, let's put it this way, the human moments, the sort of relatable, people talking to people. He's really good when he has a single dude in space who can't talk to anybody, and it's about problem solving, all that stuff he's excellent at. But, there's a lot of moments in Project Hail Mary where, we're hanging out before we left for space, these flashback moments. And I think Drew Goddard made them better, frankly. That said, it's hard to talk about these big twists without spoilers. So I'll talk very, broadly without spoiling anything, but because we are in the non-spoiler topic, Lana.
No spoilies in the non-spoilies.
That's right. I did not know anything about the book Project Hail Mary when I started, other than it was Andy Weir and it was another dude going to space book. And it blew my friggin' mind when I realized this is what this book is about. It was crazy to me. And I'm sure that some people had that in the cinema, although, as you mentioned, the trailers totally revealed it like from day one, which is very frustrating to me.
Yeah.
Because that experience is so enjoyable. That revelation moment of like, oh, whoa.
I hadn't seen a single frame. The fact that that's included in the trailers boggles the mind.
It's frustrating, right? It's
Yeah.
frustrating, but it's like, well, I'm trying to sell the movie, so I guess
Yeah.
they want to tell you what it's about. But man, what a cool revelation! You realize this is really what this is about.
Yeah.
And but like other like twisty, spoilery moments, you know, there's a lot of moments in Game of Thrones, for example, like the first novel of Song of Ice and Fire. There's a big thing, a character meeting a certain fate that is was a big, I think, surprise for people watching the TV show. I read those books, you know, before the TV show was made. And the Red Wedding, you know, these big moments. I really do think, as much as I love a great twist in a movie or a TV show, I think there's nothing like reading a twist in a book. Because I don't know, there's something about the intimacy of it. And oftentimes you are inside the POV of a very specific character and constrained in that way that movies don't have. That, you know, specifically like the end of A Game of Thrones, the book, the first novel of the Song of Ice and Fire, like you are in a very specific POV when this thing happens. And I remember like reading it and going back a couple of pages and going, no. This can't be this can't, no. I had to no, what? No. And then you're like, and then it cuts away and you're in a different chapter with a different, and you're like, what? I have to know what, it's like so pleasurable to me. And it is that feeling of I'm the one in control of the pace. And so many times I've like put my hand below so I don't see the words lower on the page,
so
you know?
Cute. I will say it probably is more of I feel like there's a freedom to it where I feel like I enjoy, like in that 1% optimal experience, I enjoy the hands-freedness and like the appreciation of so many art forms coming together, the music that makes it feeling like this, and like all of the different pieces that make it what it is. But I will say, especially when I was like a teenager and I had so many feelings when I'd be reading things, I remember getting so frustrated at like a twist, or like felt so many feelings at a twist in a book, reading it, closing a book and throwing it across the room.
Wow.
And
you can't do that with a movie.
You can't do that with a movie. But it's also like there's clearly like something deeper being evoked there that maybe is just the angst of teenageness.
Yeah.
But felt like a significant moment. Like I still remember what it was with the words that I read that made me have that experience. And that's very special.
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, a movie, you can fall into a movie, you can lose yourself in a movie, but there's something to me about reading that is just this sort of singular communication, this kind of one-to-one communication between the author and the reader that is so intimate and so different to me than the window that I'm looking at. You know, like it's asking me to use my imagination and I don't know.
I wonder if we're like flip-flopping in a particular way, like sort of opposites, because I would say as a whole, I've probably read more as my core form of media. I'll say story because video games are obviously my core form of media ingestion, but as a core storytelling avenue for me for most in my life. And I've watched vastly fewer movies than you have. And maybe because
I do it for a living.
You doing movies for a living, and that is like something that's so much part of your life. The book moments feel so much more special. I wonder if there's something to that.
Interesting. Yeah. I like that. That's interesting. Well, hey, great topic.
Great topic.
Thank you for sending it in. If you have a non-spoiler topic you'd like us to dig into, please don't hesitate. dlcfeedback@gmail.com. All right, let's jump into the end of Shadow of the Torturer, book 1 of Book of the New Sun. We're doing chapter 28 through the end. Spoilers starting now. Chapter 28, we just had this kind of cliffhanger for us because this is how we're reading it. But, you know, the last chapter 27 ends with Severian, you know, basically coming back to life after this duel, sitting up after this duel, all the chaos running out, you know, of his opponent running out of the arena.
Yeah, chapter
And
27 was called "Is He Dead?"
Is he dead?
They're like,
Chapter 28.
Is he?
Not so much.
Yeah.
Carnifex is what it is called. And Severian wakes up in this kind of infirmary. He's being treated, and Dorcas is asleep right beside his bed. And he's naked, but she has his clothes and she has his precious terminus est.
Yeah,
Which-
he has that moment of waking up and like the panic of being naked and being like, that's it. All my stuff's been taken. How am I ever going to explain to Master Palaemon that I lost all the nice stuff that he gave me, but she's still there?
It is interesting to me that literally everyone that sees that sword wants it.
Yeah.
You know, and we are not particularly, the world is not described as one where swords in general are precious.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's not the sentiment that I sort of pick up on. So I wonder if we're eventually going to find out that this sword is even more special than we think. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Everybody arguing about it. Give me that.
Yeah, everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, I'll hold that for you if you want. And he's like, no. And we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah. Also,
Anyway.
one quick note on the chapter titles that I found interesting is they almost feel like they are preceding the next chapters versus being truly about the chapter they are. Is he dead? I guess was like that happened right at the very end of the chapter with the question. But the chapter titled Dorcas was the chapter where she grabs his wrist in the water. But we don't meet her or get her name until the next chapter.
That's interesting.
And then Carnifex, you know, he's being treated in this hospital because people assume that he's employed by the military.
Right. They don't think he's a Carnifex yet. Yeah.
Well, they do think he's a Carnifex. Everybody sees him and says Carnifex, but he's not. He doesn't really start doing Carnifex stuff until the next chapters. Right. So there's this interesting. I've just noticed that with several chapters, they're like pushing the title of like seeding what is the next thing. Happening.
Yeah, I like that. Anyway, so yes, these troops, this military encampment, basically where he is, it's near the Hall of Justice, and they're like, "Hey, go to the mess hall. You'll get some food." And he
wakes up and leaves Dorcas sleeping as well. He's like, "I'm going to take a scoot around," but he trusts her enough to, I think, she still holds the sword while she's sleeping, and he goes and starts taking a stroll.
Yeah, and he starts chatting it up with the soldiers, and they're like, "It's a weird thing. There's a Carnifex that was injured and brought into the camp. Huh? Isn't that weird?" And Severian's like, "Yeah, I haven't seen anybody."
They're like, "He must be your bro."
Yeah. Do you know that guy? He's like, "Man, I've not seen anybody that matches that description." And he comes back to Dorcas. And he's like, "I don't remember anything about what happened." And she's like, oh, you're not going to believe it. This is the craziest thing. He smacked you with the flower. You fell down and you sat back up. And everybody was like, "What?" And then the dude freaked out and he split. And then the people, they were not happy about it. They wanted to see more fight. And they just started smacking them with the flower. It's bad. Real bad.
I also love like his memory of the fight was like, he threw some darts, I threw some darts. We were battling each other. And apparently he got smacked within 1 second of the fight happening. And then he was just being poisoned and being resistant to it the whole first half of the fight. I
have a theory. And this may be obvious. You may have already been way ahead of me on this, as you almost always are. And I don't know if now's the time to talk about it. I'll just say it now.
Yeah.
But I think I came to it a couple chapters later, but we're going to find out that he has the claw of the conciliator on his person, which we were told has magic powers. And I think we were told can resurrect people. And we find out that it's been on his person the whole time. He fell in the water and then Dorcas woke up and he was killed and then he woke up.
I was not ahead of you on that one. That's a good theory.
I think this gem, the claw of the conciliator, resurrected two people, Dorcas and Severian.
Yo, I really like that. My theory was like, oh, He's clearly an alien from the world where this plant is.
Oh, that's
Right? He's
interesting.
like a big,
Yeah,
tall,
has
freaky
immunity.
dude. He has some kind of like, oh, this is just from my home world.
He's been eating iocane powder in small doses for years.
Exactly. It's inconceivable.
Anyway, so he's like, "Whoa, that's weird," and she's like, "Yeah, he ran away, and you walked over and picked up the flower." And was like, we gotta have this." Like he was like delirious and weird.
Yeah.
And when you literally, my reading of this, and tell me if I'm wrong, is that the flower like attacked him.
Oh yes, yeah. So yeah. I mean,
It's like it wasn't even that he lost the fight. It's like his own weapon bit him.
That's yeah. I totally forgot about that. They Agia and Agilus explain it in like the next scene or two, but what's her face? Dorcas is like, it was the craziest thing. You picked up the flower, and as soon as you did, it immediately started facing you, like bending back to get you.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not that he got smoked immediately. It was like, oh, it's part of the deception. It's part of the scam that they have been running.
In my mind, it was like, hey, we're gonna fight with snakes. Let's fight with snakes. And the snake's like, ah! He's like, what? My own snake is attacking me.
Like, what? Yours is just a stick.
Yeah. Anyway, so Dorcas is like, hey man, remember that note you mentioned about that was weird? Can you read that to me again? And she's like, I think that was written about me. It was written to me. He's like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
And he's like, who is it written by? And she's like, nah, I don't know him. But interesting, it must have been written. She goes full Sherlock of being like, oh, so it was on the paper and it was the ink. So it was written by somebody and who knows who, but it must be for me because that's where I was sitting. And like she's like, trying
to be for her because it's that. It can't be for you because
her.
that. Yeah.
If it was for you, it would have mentioned, it would have to delineate between both women. So it must have been for me. Interesting.
But Severian's like, but you're not old enough to have a kid that would write a letter. Like that
she's like, I don't remember.
Yeah.
I love that Severian's like, do you think Severian, because of his perfect mind, is like, oh, you don't remember, just like everybody else doesn't remember things. He's never been like, oh, so you're like have lost your memories. He's just like,
Yeah. You're like one of the weak-minded ones. Although so many times Severian's like, man, I didn't remember what that was about. I'm like,
I literally highlighted one line where she's like, I think it's like, she says something like, oh, it's a crazy vision. And he's like, I've never had a vision in my life. And it's like, you've described several visions to us in this book so far, brother.
Yeah. All right. So the next chapter is called Agilus. And it starts with Severian sort of like being asked to leave. It's like, buddy, you don't need our medical attention. You're fine. You got to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so he gets Dorcas a new dress and they start leaving and they notice this crowd in front of the Hall of Justice. And this guy comes over and he's like, hey, Carnifex, bro, dude, we need somebody to perform an execution. Such good serendipity. I meet an executioner right before we need an execution.
I almost didn't spot you.
You're 12 feet tall and wearing all the blackest black.
Yeah.
It is weird to me though, because I feel like the whole first half of the book, Severian's like, we're not we're not executioners, we're torturers. And then he's like, oh yeah, I'm also an executioner. I don't know. I guess they do that ritual that was about executing too.
But it was also the punishment. Was there like, you are a torturer, you're trained for a higher sinister calling.
Only journeymen just kill people.
Yeah, if you like, you'll never be a master torturer. You'll have to go be their Carnifex because that's what they're looking for. Just an executioner. That's all you'll ever be.
Yeah,
kid in this town.
So Severian's like, oh sweet, I can do my job. I love my job. I just love my job. And he's like, well, the first thing you got to do, if you're going to do this right, if you're going to do the executions right, first thing you got to do is you got to inspect the executioner's platform, make sure no funny business is going to happen. You got to do it all right. And you got to visit the person you're going to murder. Well, I guess it's not murder. You're going to execute. You got to see the condemned man, make contact, prepare them.
Have like a respectful ritual. See if they don't want to poop their pants or...
You got to make it nice and clean, for them, for the audience. He's a professional.
This sensitivity, like him dressed like an executioner, job as executioner, picturing every, Robin Hood, Disney's Robin Hood executioner, sinister, same look.
Totally.
And only bad. And then thinking about them taking off their mask and being like, time to do some administration quickly. Want to make sure this is as easy for you as it will be for me.
Just fill out this form in triplicate, please.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So he goes to the prison where they're holding the condemned man. As he approaches, he hears a woman crying. Then he enters the cell, and there's two people in there, both naked, a woman and a man. And he immediately recognizes them as the twins, Asia and Agilus. And he's like, oh, that's what a coinky dink. I gotta execute.
It's crazy meeting like this again. And then
I'd be the guy doing the execution after all we've been through together.
You thought you were gonna, but here we are. Isn't it ironic, Alanis?
Alanis.
And then this is where Agia goes through the whole. She sort of expositorily is like, yes, obviously, you dumb man.
Yeah.
I was in the armor in the first place to put the seed to get you to do the thing. I tried a million times to try and just like steal your stuff before we got there so you wouldn't have to go through this whole thing because you wouldn't sell the sword.
Yeah, just
he gave me the
sword,
sign.
Dude. None of this would have had to happen if you just give us all your stuff.
She's so mad being like, this is actually your fault because we tried to take it from you and you said no.
Oh, I love that part where Agilus is like, he's like, actually, I'm the wronged guy here.
Yeah.
If you're talking about who's been wronged, it's this guy with the thumbs that are about to be cut off. It's like, he's like, in 3 ways, I've been triply wronged. And Severian's like, yeah, what are the 3 ways? He's like, well, you should have just given me your stuff. You tricked me.
You don't have the right.
Awesome stuff.
I have the right to offer you any amount of money, but you don't have the right to say no to any of the money.
For the first way you wronged me is having awesome stuff that I want. Like, that's not fair. That's not fair that you walk into my store with awesome stuff that I want. Can't do that. That's entrapment. That's entrapment. It's just the dumbest logic. And I love how Severian's like, no, I don't buy any of that. Even dumb Severian is like, no, buddy, no.
Both of them are like full scammers. So he's like, here's the ways I've been wrong. Because the only right thing for you to do is just get me out of here. And then Aga being like, here's all the things that you messed up. And this was the whole plan. And we could have been in the Garden of Delectation, remember? Yeah. But you said no to that. And honestly, now that I'm looking at you, I know that you want me. And we're both so sad. He'll turn around and you can have all this. Let us out of there.
Her. I love that she will use any angle and there's like not a beat. Like that angle's not working. Switch to another one.
Same sentence.
Same sentence.
Yeah.
Like, I hate you, but you want this because I want you. Oh, you don't want this? I hate you again. It's like,
I claw you.
It's so good. And eventually she literally like gets on him and is like getting in his pants. And I love how the scene is written because at first I was like, is she just trying to like seduce him or get in his pants, like get to his junk so he, but no, she's actually trying to do, we find out she's trying to pickpocket the thing that she had placed on him to keep herself safe, which makes so much sense in retrospect because when they get the claw of the conciliator, it's that she's immediately disrobed and strip searched by the Penta, what are they called? The Perennium. Yeah.
Paralins.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, the people who, want the claw of the conciliator, immediately we're like, she's stealing it. And so the idea that in that moment, she was smart enough to snag it, stick it on him to keep herself safe. Like I love that. It's retroactively makes total sense.
But also I remember she's like, I'm so hurt. You have to carry me.
Yes. Right.
And like, that's when she does it, as being like, oh, my little leggies, I'm so limp. And then she's like, oh, let's get out of here. And they like run away.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, she's duping them. And she is, but also that sleight of hand in there. Mwah, delicious.
Chef's kiss. Very good. But yeah, so we have this, this moment where she tries to get, he pushes her back. She smacks her head on the wall and kind of slumps down crying. And then that's when we have Agilus being like, well, he tries his swindly ways and doesn't work.
And then Severian's like, I'll give you $1. She like slaps it out of his hands and spits on it. And then still takes that thing, obviously. She's not going to say no for real.
That's right. And then supposedly she has like drawn some strange symbols on the ground, which I didn't quite understand. Yeah.
So
there's something else going on there too.
Something else going on. I don't know if it's just like, here's my next scam is I've put a hex on this spot. Maybe you think that the coin is vaporized, but Severian is like, okay, well, she's gone. So are you want to crap yourself or not? Do you care? He just has the respectful conversation that like does the job, shuts the door, and then sees where the coin was, sees the symbols on the ground, is like, well, don't know what that means, and is like, and just rubs it out of the dirt.
Yeah. I love that he like doesn't care to even understand. It's so important to her, and he's like, whatever.
He's like, that's weird.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I do love the pro tip: eat light. You don't want to poop yourself.
Yeah.
And I love how like embedded in that is also this lie where he's like, I want to eat. Part of our art in our guild is lying to people to convince them that there is a way to make it less bad. And he's like, there's no way to make it less bad.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But even the fact that they're trying to do that, they're like, yeah, we're going to be executing you. But I'm trying to take the sting away. Like a doctor being like, all right, don't count backwards from 10. It's like they gave you the syringe before you even started counting.
Yeah. Creepy.
Yeah.
All right. So chapter 30 is entitled Night. And Severian encounters a group of people standing outside the prison. It's 2 women and 3 men. And they're curious about the execution. They're like execution groupies.
Like sickos. Yeah.
She's like, bloody my handkerchief for me, executioner.
Put as much blood on it as you can. It's okay if it's a few drops, but what if it was totally soaked in blood?
Yeah. And then there's this other dude who's a real weirdo. And he tells this crazy story about his time traveling on the quasar. Love that word. I love quasar.
It's one of those things where it's like medieval executioner town, direct injection of a sci-fi thing that you're like,
Yeah. And this is a wacky story that is told in a wacky way with the wacky man who's got wacky speech patterns.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't exactly know what to make of it exactly, but he had, I guess, a doll, like a humanoid doll that somebody stole from him.
My brain say android.
Oh, I like it.
We've seen
you're
some
always a step ahead. I love that.
It could be like a little. Oh, what's her name? Cortana.
Yeah.
Anyway,
he's a real weirdo.
This is one of those things where I'm like, I know that this guy, because he is so. There's all the sickos that are like, put the blood on my handkerchief, daddy.
Yeah.
And then he's like, they all like kind of make way. Severian is described as being like, I could tell that these guys aren't going to stop talking. So I was like, excuse me, there's another person here. And then they're like immediately telling some interesting story in a unique and memorable way that I'm like, what am I going to get from?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
There's a few moments in these chapters like that. There's another story coming up, and then there's that weird dream where he's like, I don't even know why I'm telling you this.
I know. But I'm like, but I know it must be something, and I'm trying to retain it.
Gene Wolfe knows why you're telling me this, Severian.
It's slipping through my fingers as you say it.
Yeah. Anyway, so Severian, extricates himself from that situation, gets back to his little room, and he and Dorcas finally get it on. And after that, he's sitting in the dark like a real creepo, sharpening his sword.
As you do.
As you do before an execution. It's got to be nice and sharp.
Do you need like a little cigarette? No, just pass me the whetstone, girl.
Yeah.
Shing, shing.
That's what I like. It's always nice to sleep with someone and then wake up to them sharpening their weapon.
It was interesting though, because even them sleeping together had like an intensity to it, where it's described. She's described as like quite petite, and he's a giant guy, and then there's like this sort of sinister aggro edge to him in the way that anytime he's sort of talking about sex, there's like a little bit aggressive. And then it's even described as that she's in like pain in particular ways, but it doesn't seem like an unwilling pairing. It's just like, there's like a discomfort to the way it's described, that it's like not intimacy. Like, oh, and then later he's like, me and my true companion. And I'm like,
yeah, it is weird how, he's got these three loves in this book that, Thecla, Agia, and Dorcas. And by this point, we get to him declaring that Dorcas is like the truest of the loves and the most sort of pure companionship, like the most, what you would expect to be the most wholesome or appropriate, like, actual pairing. And yet, it feels like the least, it feels like kind of dominant and weird to me, the reader. I want to be rooting for this, but Dorcas feels very,
she doesn't have any memory. It's like it feels like coercion, though it's not described ever.
Yeah. She doesn't really have an identity. She's just devoted to him. She doesn't, like where Thecla and Agia have agency in their own world. They want things and they have an interiority. Dorcas is just like, I'm only here to be your perfect woman. Well, and it feels like that's why Severian likes her so much, almost.
Yeah, well, it's even because she's not his perfect woman. He's like, she's like, her features are a little weird in these ways. And I wish that she were a little bit more like, oh, I'm going to forget her name immediately. The other woman that we're going to meet. But like,
Jolene,
Joe,
or something like that.
It is something. It's Joe something.
Yeah.
But later, Dorcas describes herself as like, I know that Agia hated me, and I was incredibly scared of her. And even if you hated me, you got to know I'd still be following you.
Yeah.
So she's like, she feels like she has no other option, and so it's just got this this power dynamic that's uncomfortable. But I mean, it feels willing. They're like, she'll like go to him when she's scared and like hold his hand and like all these pieces. But I'm like, it's just a little icky.
I agree. So chapter 31 is The Shadow of the Torturer, which is the name of the novel as a whole. So Severian goes to do his duty as the executioner. He stands on the platform. He looks at the crowd. He's looking for Agia. She's not there. Doesn't see her, but Dorcas is there. The weird groupies are there. And then the soldiers bring Agilus to the scaffold, kneel him down. Go ahead.
One other thing is before before the execution, it's part of his responsibility to be like, well, I got to go stand on stage for a long period of time.
Yeah.
Partially to start like getting people prepared for the fact that an execution is going to be here, but also to sort of let people get some amount of their ogles out, so there is like a satisfactory like conclusion to the event.
Get your ogles out. I love that. And this is where he gets the titular shadow.
Yeah,
because he's like, I got to stand just right. So there's this sick shadow of the torturer like across the. I can see it in my head that like the hood and the sword, as this oppressive shadow,
And
ominous.
the whole theater of it, even when he goes to do it, he's like, okay, lift it up, wait for a glint, get the
Yeah.
sun just right, ding, ding,
Yeah.
ding, ding. That like makes it this
Yeah, that's why he's a
spectacle.
professional.
Yeah.
That's why he's a real
Strength.
pro, you know?
He was going to go big if he didn't do all that betrayal.
You get anybody doing execution, it's a ho-hum execution. Yeah, the person dies. Is the crowd excited? No. You get a pro. That's why you spend a little extra. And clearly they do spend a little extra.
Yeah.
Because he's like shocked at how much money they paid him.
Yeah.
He's like, wow, I got a master's fee for this. I'm just a journeyman. Woohoo.
Yeah.
But anyway, before that, we hear Agius scream. And so, he couldn't find her, but he does hear her scream. And he has this sense that she couldn't bear to watch, but because she's a twin, she just sensed the moment of his death.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
he
raises up the head. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Even like the way it's described when it talks about the execution. And one of the things I kind of admire about Gene Wolfe is like, this is all the torture and stuff like that. It is disgusting what he's describing, but he does it in this way that's like clinical. It's like as though doctors were describing surgery, where he's like, a great execution, if you do things exactly right, you're going to hit the sword right between two of the vertebrae so that they split, and then it's a clean thunk, and then the head is gone, and ideally you'll get like a good gout of blood that excites the audience. But he describes it in that sort of distant way, and then the moment is kind of past. So he doesn't actually describe the moment that he swipes it and like the crowd felt this, blah, 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 blah. He kind of steps away from the execution, glint of the blade, this is what it's like. And then that was serving as him describing that moment. And then it's just describing Agia screaming. So there's this, it's just so, it's weirdly glamorizing these horrible things that he's doing because it's clinical, and it makes it like, oh, maybe that's not so bad then. But it's not gruesome, even though it's a gruesome act.
Yeah, it's an interesting moment, and they have to sort of take the body off, and you get the sense that there's all this stuff in the novel about protecting dead bodies, and people want the dead bodies, and how do people eat the dead bodies, and that lady wanted a bloody thing, and it's just like there's this like undercurrent of
freaky
deaky. So they drag the body off,
and he's like, at our place, this would be the journeyman's job. He's so easy. Here, these not professionals, gotta drag the body off. It took 4 of them to figure out how to do it while they're like trying to shield it mostly, so it's not being like stared at too hard. It's very interesting.
And then the military guy comes over and pays him, and he's like, oh, dude, you gave me so much extra cash. Baby, I could be doing this. This could be our life. And she's like, I would rather not. Let's not be executioners.
I was hoping this is like the last one of these we'd have to do, not like looking for opportunities to behead people.
And she asks to see the message again, the one he copied down. And he's like, okay, it's just right here in my pocket next to the, what is this? What?
They walk some amount out of the city. After this, they were like, do you want to stay? The what's his face wants to pay you himself directly to like,
There's
and then have this feast.
Party. The after party is going to be sick. You guys want to stay for that?
So lit. And he's like, we're going to go at twilight. So I think we can stay for a little bit. We're going to peace out. So he gets paid, and then they are like leaving the city as much as they can continue to leave the city, which seems to be so unending. But there's some distance away when he's like, it's right here in my pocket. And then, are you picturing it shining? Just glinting? Is it?
I picture
radiating
it like
light.
Magical glowing gemstone. That's what I imagine. He pulls the one ring out of his pocket, and he's like, what? And then they put it all together. He's like, oh, the claw of the conciliator. She stuck it in my pocket. This is where she hid it. I get it now. I get it. We got to give this back to the Pellerines.
But also, like in that moment, my brain pictured it being like, like a little car key. And then they get this vision of
crazy.
They describe it as floating above the city, another city with spires and all the things which you could picture as the house absolute.
Yeah.
Is
But on fire.
Yes. Well, on fire. I couldn't tell if it was a vision of the city on fire or if it's like I pictured it being like a little car key, like, oh, spaceship's here, and then vaporized and zipped away.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely thought of it more like the fire of something entering the atmosphere.
Yes.
You know, like, yeah. But then it's gone immediately. And he's like, did you see that? She's like, yeah, did you see that? He's like, yeah, did we both see that? Did anybody else see that?
And she's like, we had this vision. He's like, I've never had a vision.
By the way, reader, let me tell you about these visions that I keep having.
This goddess in the water.
Yeah.
They're like, well, if we math it out, we both saw it, obviously, because we're here and looking at the gem world. And if there's like millions of people, at least like 100 people probably saw it if it was real.
Yeah. If it was real. Yeah. Anyway, let's just go on about our day.
And he pictured it as like sort of vaporizing. And she's like, yeah, it like scooted away.
Yeah.
They had like some difference in how it disappeared from their vision.
So is your interpretation of that, this is some sort of alien device, alien artifact that called the alien mothership down for a brief moment?
That was my closest imaginings.
I mean, I'll buy it. It's definitely a weird moment. And then they just like, well, guess we just got to keep walking. So the next chapter 32 is called The Play. They decide, Severian's like, I got to return this thing to the Pellerines. Got to walk back toward the city. And they hear voices in the distance as they're walking, and there's a light shining through the woods. There's like torches, and they see a stage, and they see performers, and lo and behold, it's Dr. Talos, Baldanders, and a pretty woman named Jolenta. And as soon as Dr. Talos sees them, he's like, oh, awesome. The other performers are here. Come and join the play.
Yeah.
They do?
I feel like I've had this as a personal nightmare before.
Yeah.
I'm
you
like
don't know
showing
the
up
lines,
and
but you're in the play.
And being like, oh, I didn't study the script. I've
100%.
had this dream.
100% I've had that dream. I mean, I've had that dream this week.
Exactly. But they're like, okay, going from executioner and memoryless corpse girl being like, oh, a play? All right. What, line?
Yeah.
You're in trouble, mister. Line. It's like, what? I can't.
It's such
wacky.
a dreamlike moment. It feels very ethereal and odd. The fact that these characters that we saw long ago just are there, and then they assumed that this was going to happen, that they were going to show up, and that they were going to join the play, and they're, everybody just does it. It's the craziest moment.
Like you could picture. So there's like, even though Severian has been on this wacky journey, this idea of honor of him being like, yeah, I'll definitely meet you at the place we're going to meet you, happening into this place where obviously he said that they would meet.
Right.
But then it's like, even though Severian's describing the play as like kind of nonsensical and that it's kind of all over the place and weird, you could picture there being like the main narrator and being like, the angel of death arrived and he said, you're gonna die. And then like pointing and being like, you're gonna die. Like you can picture something happening with people who don't know the lines and it's still being compelling. But the fact that they're just willing to be like, I guess we're actors now, is so it's so strange. And there's such significance to like angel of death and immediately coining Dorcas's innocence. It's like this guy has some kind of sense.
Yes. And I mean, Dr. Talos over this whole next sequence is sort of revealed to be completely different than I thought he was.
Yes.
I had pegged him as a total charlatan.
Yeah.
And then we have this weird moment where he like refuses money and like, what's his angle on that? But he doesn't appear to have an angle on that. He appears to be just like a decent dude all of a sudden.
Who just genuinely loves doing the play, but he talked literally about selling elixirs. Didn't he talk about being like, we do the play and then Ballanders does lift strong things and then I'll sell stuff.
And it's still a swindle, because what happens is, I love this. They're doing the play that's like not missing a beat. It's like part improv, they have stage sets that are made for a torturer, and he's just there in costume, ready to rock. And they're doing it, but then like Talos would stops right before the climax of the play and is like, all right, everybody, pay up if you want to see the thrilling conclusion to tonight's play.
Well, have you been to see, so in Edmonton, where I'm from, there's the largest street performing festival in the world.
Yeah, the Busker, isn't it the what's it called? The
Street Performers Festival.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And that's what they do.
Yeah.
They do.
And that's what
always
busking is, right? Is you got to get the cash before the end, or else people just wander away without paying.
And it is one of those things where, like, even as he's talking, he's like, it can't be that the few are supporting the many. There's got to be more in there. And it's like, he's so just a street performer.
Yeah. So good. Yeah. But then the swindle is that even after they pay, they stage a horrible event. Like they have Baldanders, the giant, rush the stage and scare everybody so that they drop shit.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is still, he's still swindling people. He's like, oh yeah, we got some cool stuff. He's like, somebody dropped a baby pig. He ate it. It was delicious. Somebody dropped a baby.
Saying somebody dropped a baby made me laugh really hard. And then they're like, we're pretty hungry. Do you have any food? He's like, looks like somebody dropped some yams. We're in luck.
It's amazing. It's an amazing con that they have running. It's such a great grift. By the way, my headcanon, 100% Dr. Talos is played by Christoph Waltz. 100%. It's that character from Django Unchained. That Christoph Waltz plays in Django Unchained is this guy. It's the same dude. Dr. Talos is 100% Christoph Waltz.
You're good at the casting.
Oh, thank you. Anyway, so this whole thing is hilarious and weird and oddly wholesome, because he's like, okay, let's split up all of our money. Like, okay, I just want to make sure everybody's even Stevens. And they're like, well, what about you, Dr. Talos? Aren't you going to take a cut? He's like, I never get paid. I don't get paid. I do this for the love of the game, baby. Love of the game.
It's like, it almost feels like, weirdly, it felt like almost in the same way that Severian is on this journey and he is in exile, but he's like, can you believe I got more money than I had before?
Yeah.
It almost feels like this is a punishment that he has inflicted on himself. It's like, I never take payment. This is what I do. This is it's like a duty to the theater.
Right. Yeah. And so immediately I went from like Dr. Talos is a smarmy sleazeball, like, because the way he treats the waitress at the place,
Yeah.
And this Jolenta chick, at first
is the waitress.
I thought she was the waitress, but I feel like she's just another chick. Like they just keep acquiring ladies.
Well, she says, you don't remember me?
Right.
Of course you didn't.
I know. But I also feel like the way he's constantly describing her as being the most like gorgeous woman she's ever seen, he wouldn't have not thought that the first time, right?
But I think that he was early enough in his existence to maybe have not thought that, or he was too enamored with Aggie. And I think he was like, this waitress was objectively more beautiful than Aggie is.
Oh, is that?
But
do you think that she just got a glow up?
I think, the freedom of not being worried about tips. I also think all of like the money conversation, doesn't that happen when they wake up? So they go to sleep first and then they have the dreams. And then
I think that happens before, that happens before they divvy up the money and divvy up the items left behind. And he's surprised that Dorcas is like, oh yeah, I'll have the extra cash.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I guess she wants to be an actor.
Even that was interesting, where he's like, there's 2 extra coins. We can't go around the circle again. Anybody who's like the first person who says they need it, no judgment.
Yeah.
You're allowed to just say that you need that. And that's a trade-off that we make as a troop.
Yeah.
Kind of. And how instantly she's like, yeah.
I'll take them. Yeah. And it's the honor of Dr. Talos all of a sudden just felt very surprising to me.
There's more to this fella.
I like this guy.
Yeah.
All of a sudden. All right. So chapter 33 is called 5 Legs. And then this is where they all sort of bed down at the campsite. There's a discussion where he's like, Jolenta's like, let's go get it. We have all this money. Let's go get a nice room at an inn. And Talos is like, what am I made of money over here?
Yeah.
No. We can sleep on the dirt like real actors.
Well, he's like, here, let's do the logic. Okay, it's already late. Then we're gonna pack up. It's even later. Then we're gonna walk. How far? Pretty far. Get to a hotel. The sun's already coming up.
Yeah.
So, no.
So just sleep your ass right here.
Yeah.
We'll be fine. It's very funny. So Severian, he's bedding down. He checks out the claw, the conciliator. He's like, oh, that's interesting. He's like, okay, time to go to sleep. And then we have this fourth wall breaking moment where he's like, I'm going to tell you this dream that I had. I don't know if it means anything or if it's even like a waste of your time, reader, to even read this.
It's like, it's just as honestly, it's satisfying for me to say it out loud, which honestly is how most dreams are. I'm like, I know you don't want to hear about this.
It's true.
But I really want to say it out loud. So I'm gonna.
It's true. Every dream I've ever told you, Lana, is really that. It's like, I just got to tell you. Yeah. I don't know why. It's probably wasting both of our times, but here we go.
Yeah.
And the dream is that his giant demon dog pup, Triskel, shows up again and lays down next to him.
Mm-hmm.
And then dead old Master Malrubius is back, standing by the fire. And
is he dead? Because even in the dream, or he talks about, he's like, yeah, he was there. And this whole thing with Master Malrubius is, even in the Citadel, they never said that he was dead. They just said that he was gone. And like in a tower of healing, that he could be basically like sealed off like a sarcophagus, and you don't go up there unless you're actually sick. But there's like the implication that even though they talk about the fact that he's gone or that he died, he maybe isn't actually dead. But he said Master Palemon probably wouldn't be able to handle it if he is actually dead. So is he actually dead? Meh.
Huh.
There's like a weird sort of looping around to why he would come up, and he's probably dust, but maybe he's just alive somewhere. We don't know.
Well, in his dream or whatever this is, he basically like quizzes him. It's like, pop quiz, hotshot. He's like, tell me the 7 principles of governance. And he's like, all right, here we go. In order from most desired to least. Like another moment where I'm like, I don't know what to make of this.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the takeaway is that the most desirable governance is when you are devoted to an abstraction, which felt very interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
And when you relate that to the idea that Severian is actually telling us this as the new autarch in some future moment. He's writing his memoir as the leader, and we've heard the autarch described as this sort of godlike figure who walks on water and can do no wrong, and the sun shines when he looks at you, and all these strange
and his
things.
sweat is all gold.
Yeah. That the most desired version of governance, the thing that you want to be controlled by, is an abstraction, is not something that you can even wrap your head around. I think there is a there with this dream. I don't quite have it, but I feel like it's getting at something.
Yeah, the things that it ended up, like the little neurons that fired, is him being like, he's writing this story. He's at a writing desk. Has he said he's in the House Absolute as he's writing?
I think so.
Okay.
I think he says like, I'm in the,
here at my writing desk in the House Absolute. Yeah. My brain briefly was like, maybe he's at Tekla's writing desk in the cell that she had, and now he's already back all the way in the Citadel. But I think he has said he's in the House Absolute where he's writing. But my brain was like, maybe where is he? Where is the house absolute? Is that an abstraction enough? Because people are like, it's mystical, kind of. Or is the fact that you can picture a house that can fly through space not an abstraction enough of like what a core belief is? I
Well,
agree with you that this is interesting. And then the follow-up to it of like how you relate to yourself or whatever.
I think here's my grand theory about what this all is. I could be completely off base. Anybody watching or listening that has read these, don't tell me if I'm right or wrong. We'll find out in due time. But I think the book of the new sun as a whole is the holy book of this time.
Yeah.
And I think Severian is literally writing the holy book. He is the autarch. He's this new godlike thing. And he is conveying the word of God, basically, to his followers. And he's doing it in a way that is relatable, that is like, I'm just telling you the raw truth of how I became God. And we already saw him sort of resurrected from the dead in this fight. So he has these sort of Christ-like things that happen. And I think the reason I think this is because the appendix, which we'll get to shortly, is like, it kind of relates it like I'm translating this very important work, from the future. And I feel like that's what it is that the book of the new sun is like, how I became your God. I didn't start out as your God, but now I am.
Yeah.
How I became your God. And I think that's what this dream is. It's like the people need an abstraction to govern them.
But it also, all of this seems like because this is in a dream, when Master Malrubius is like, what are the principles of governance? He's like, you never taught me that. And he's like,
Right.
A likely story. Just tell me them. And so it seems almost like I like your theory here, because even this moment of being like, I was visited in this dream, and here are the principles of governance, that these are the desirable ones, is attachment to the or not attachment, whatever it is. The first one you just said about the abstraction.
Yeah.
And then
higher power. Yeah.
Higher power.
Higher power. Yeah.
And then it said, what are the 7 sorts? And it's like attachment to the person of the monarch, attachment to a bloodline or sequence of succession, attachment to the royal state, to a code legitimizing a governing state, law only, or to a greater or lesser board of electors as framers of the law, and then attachment to an abstraction conceived as including the body of electors and other bodies given rise to them, and numerous other elements largely ideal.
So it's like the thing you want most is to be devoted to an ideal, not a person.
Yeah.
Right? That's what most people want. Which is such a weird thing for a torturer to teach. Right?
Yeah. But then it's like, so what's your own attachment to the divine entity? And he's like, well, I'm attached to the monarch. And then he's like, how does your dog perceive you? And he's like, the dog also perceives me as the monarch. And he's like, I feel like he's kind of like, think about that.
Yeah. Right.
And to me, that was him being like, you're the monarch.
Yeah. Yeah.
You are the autarch. It was like him trying to draw his dream. Master Malrubi is trying to draw the line between him and like, here's all the principles that people need to respect. And here's how you get there. And you almost being like, this is your divine right, was the feeling to me from this dream.
Makes sense. Anyway, he wakes up and he's like, Dr. Tellis, I had the weirdest dream. It's like my dog was sitting right next to me. And Dr. Tellis is like, yeah, it was, fire's warm. It's probably felt like a warm dog right next to you.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, wow. Well, anyway, have you been sleeping well? He's like, oh, no, I don't sleep.
It's not for me.
Yeah. So they all wake up for the next morning. This is a chapter literally entitled Morning. And they have breakfast. And this is when Jolenta says, hey, I met you before, which he kind of just shrugs off in a weird way, as he often does with somebody saying something that seems really important. He's like, oh.
And Jolenta through the chapters, like clearly like autarch stan.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She's always the one saying his sweat is like gold.
Yeah.
And Talos is like, okay, well, let's break camp. Let's go. We'll go to the next town and do this same swindle again. This will be sweet. And Severin's like, I'm not coming with. We got to go back to the Pellerines. I got some stuff to do. And he's like, well, okay, well, let's at least get to the next road before we part ways. And you're right. This is where they divvy up the money. You're right. It was after the thing. So they talked about it earlier, but then they do it here. Sorry.
They do it here, and then as they go, they're going to head to the road because they think it's the fastest way back into the city to go to the Pellerines. And Jolenta, there's this interesting. I assume it's just because of like there's a hearty lace of the old sexism through the entirety of the book, as is expected of writing from time periods. It's interesting, even with Dorcas being like, I will let you buy me a new dress. And then Jolenta here is like, Dr. Talos, if you see X, Y, or Z, I need you to buy me this thing because I'm tired. He's like, what? You got your own money, girl. Buy it yourself.
Yeah.
There's like interesting dynamics around the women expecting to be doted on in a particular way and just the asking for things that is accepted as normal.
It's true. Yeah. Well, then at the end of this chapter, they see a weird man in gray approach the camp. And we start chapter 35, the final chapter of this novel. It is entitled Hethor. And so this man introduces himself as that name. And Talos is like, oh, gosh, this happens to me all the time. No autographs. I'm sorry. The next performance will be tomorrow. I know. You were moved to tears. It was amazing. I get it. And Heather's like, no. I'm like a fan of that dude. I like that guy.
And he's like, it's so great that you did all that torture on the stage. And he's like, Severity, I forget if he says it out loud, if he just thinks that he's like, I thought the crowd was a little bit smarter than this. We was acting, brother.
Yeah. He's like, what would have happened if everybody, when the giant jumped off the stage, if everybody had been like, I know you're tricking us. He's like, that would have been awkward.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Hethor is like, hey man, I'll hold your sword for you. I'll do anything. You're the coolest. I'll hold your sword. And Severin's like, never, not today, not any day. No one holds the sword. Everybody wants my sword.
Which I think is so interesting. Well, obviously because Hethor is obsessed and a little
sycophantic.
Wacky. But he lets Dorcas hold the sword all the time.
That's true. Right? That's true.
He's like woke up in the hospital and was like, oh, she's holding my sword. That's good. I guess obviously because she didn't run away with it and steal it already. Right. But he has let her hold the sword while he just leaves and goes and does it.
Her devotion to him is unquestioned.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so there's this, they start walking. They're heading toward the wall. And there's a lot of travelers heading toward the wall. Evidently, it's it's like going through customs. There's a big backup at the entrance point. And there's this weird argument. Jolenta is arguing about letting Dorcas be her understudy, which I thought was funny. Yeah. And his friend's like, Dorcas isn't going to be your understudy. We're leaving. My girl, she's coming with me.
And he's like, we got to go see the Pellerines. And a guy's like, Pellerines, you say?
Yeah. Very funny. Yeah.
I also pulled, did I pull it or did I hope I did. There's a section here. This guy shows up. I forget his name. It's like
Jonas.
He's
a Jonas brother.
Yeah. Jonas, our Jonas brother shows up and is like, Pellerines, you say, they just went through here. So you shouldn't go back to the city. You got to keep going.
Yeah.
If you want to catch them, because they were exiting in a rush. All their robes were torn. Oh, it's a whole thing. He like references something.
Yeah.
I think he references a play or some other thing in the world that's like, if you've ever seen something like this, they were leaving like that thing was leaving.
Yeah. It's like an animal or something, like running, like being hunted or something. Yeah.
And he, that's Dr. Talos is immediately like, looks like they'll be traveling with us for a while yet.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Jolenta's like annoyed at that. And then there's a moment here where Jonas is like, can I ask you some questions? And Dr. Tallis is like, not about anything about our persons or anything that we're doing or where we're going or anything direct, but you can try and ask any questions that are not any of those things I just listed. And he's like, you're on to me, man. I wanted to understand your whole troop here. And he says something like why you're traveling with such a beautiful lady. And Jolenta, who to my understanding was the waitress at the cafe like 2 days ago, was like, aren't you poor? Get away from me. And
That's
it's like,
why I'm not certain that is her. I don't know. I just feel like they just have a revolving door of women they use up and cast aside, but maybe I'm being cynical about it.
I think the fact that she's like, you don't remember me, Severian? Maybe there's something that has happened to her between then and now. But
maybe.
I did get the impression that she's the same
Certainly
lady.
possible. Certainly possible. My favorite part about this is Jonas is like, let me tell you guys a story. So once upon a time, and then like chaos breaks out, and he's like, and I was like, I went over there, and there's literally people whipping people, and the whip hits Dorcas in the face, and Severian gets pissed off and kills the man. He's like, I did the technique we call the two apricots.
He's like, he wanted to do the technique called the two apricots, but he accidentally killed the guy who pulled him off, who was getting trampled immediately because there's chaos happening at the gate.
And the guy's like, and then I was a Tuesday. I remember it well. And it's like whips and people dying. And it's such a masterfully chaotic, crazy moment that just explodes out of nowhere because they're just kind of in this throng of people.
Well,
and then it's so good.
It's so good. The things that lead up to the moment, they're approaching the gate, and then I'm picturing, the big wall, and then the gate, the wall being very thick enough to be basically like the width of a building. And in the lights, the way that you can see when you go by apartments, they have like the stairwell where there's always like a strip of light down the middle, picturing like a stairwell, visible panes of glass, and then a bunch of freaky beasts inside and different alien species that are all part of the Autarch's army, keeping an eye out of the people walking through, like the double sphinxes in the Never-Ending Story, ready to laser beam. They're like, I think Jonas describes like, oh, those are the Autarch's soldiers that if they ever needed to defend the wall, they all live in the wall in the meantime. Yeah. And if anybody tries to pass through this gate who happened to be somebody that they were looking for, they would get him. Anyway, back to my tale. And then it's like, they're like, we see sunlight ahead. And then I'm like, is this the Autarch's people trying to get somebody? Are they coming for Severian? There's like some kind of front approaching. He just kills a guy. Dorcas, it's like, it's so disorienting.
Definitely, I think intentionally disorienting. And I get the sense that the whip to Dorcas's face was an accident. Like the whip just incidentally flung back and there's everybody's packed together in this, this chaos of trying to get through the wall. I also love the description of the wall as like, there's only a couple of birds that could fly over the top of it. It's that tall. Like, it's so good.
And is it this moment where like, as they're going through the gate, somebody's coming through the crowd, and then the crowd is parting in advance, or maybe that was earlier. Parting in advance, like earlier. Water behind somebody's boat. Yeah, never mind.
I think I know what the apricots are. I don't want to imagine what that technique is exactly,
but I have an idea.
I have a hunch what we're referring to with the two apricots. Anyway, and so like lash chaos thing, and then Severian's like, okay, here's where I'm just gonna pause real quick. Is pretty intense. I recognize you guys are reading this, and maybe you want to stop, get a glass of water. We'll just hang out. It's cool. Let me just point out, hey, I took you from one gate to another gate. Isn't that fun? We went from one creepy, foggy gate to another creepy, foggy gate. How fun is that? All right. Anyway, bye.
I realize because the end it does feel so abrupt where you're like, oh, okay. Take a breather. Something we totally passed over because all this last scene is so chaotic and interesting, and just like weird dream after weird story after
Yeah.
weird story into the chaos. Heathor, he's like, I'm a fan of Severian, but such that he keeps calling him master. Is like,
Yeah.
I'm following you, kind of whether you like it or not. And he's with their troop, tries to hold the sword, but he's like 100 feet behind them. And then he'll like close and be like, anything you need. Like, he's like quietly sneaking up and then sort of retreating back to like this place where he is there ready to help Severian in whatever way, because he perceives him as something greater than Severian is perceiving himself, or he's just obsessed with death or loves the Carnifex or whatever it is. Heathor is also in it with them and seems to be just in it for some kind of whatever the next long haul is going to be.
Yeah. He's like, I'm never going to be a master. I'm just a journeyman, dude. Don't call me master. Bro.
Yeah.
I would love to be, but it's not going to happen. But it would be awesome.
But I'm in trouble.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's where this novel abruptly cuts off. We do have an appendix that seems to be written by Gene Wolfe as a character in the story.
Mm-hmm.
And this is really one of the most fascinating, coolest parts of this whole book for me, because it is the author stepping out and going, hey, just want to acknowledge that, none of the words in here are made up. It's all English, but I get it. This is from a far future and it was related to me. I'm just trying to kind of convey. I'm translating from a language that's not even English. That's not a language that hasn't even occurred in history yet.
Yeah, I'd love to read it. The appendix is very short. It's like a page and a little bit. It says, Appendix, a note on the translation. Curious.
So good.
In rendering this book, originally composed in a tongue that has not yet achieved existence, into English, I might easily have saved myself a great deal of labor by having recourse to invented terms. In no case have I done so. Thus, in many instances, I have been forced to replace yet undiscovered concepts by their closest 20th century equivalents. Such words as peltast, androgen, and exultant are substitutions of this kind and are intended to be suggestive rather than definitive. Metal is usually, but not always, employed to designate a substance of the sort the word suggests in contemporary minds. When the manuscript makes reference to animal species resulting from biogenetic manipulation or the importation of extrasolar breeding stock, the name of a similar extinct species has been freely substituted. Indeed, Severian sometimes seems to assume that an extinct species has been restored. The nature of the riding and draft animals employed is frequently unclear in the original text. I have scrupled to call these creatures horses, since I'm certain the word is not strictly correct. The destriers of the Book of the New Sun are unquestionably much swifter and more enduring animals than those we know, and the speed of those used for military purposes seems to permit the delivering of cavalry charges against enemies supported by high-energy armament. Latin is once or twice employed to indicate that inscriptions and the like are in a language Severian appears to consider obsolete. What the actual language may have been, I cannot say. To those who have preceded me in the study of the post-historic world, and particularly to those collectors, too numerous to name here, who have permitted me to examine artifacts surviving so many centuries of futurity, and most especially to those who have allowed me to visit and photograph the new eras, or the era's few extant buildings, I am truly grateful. Gene Wolfe.
Such a rad notion that's like, I got a chance to actually see some of this stuff, and I'm just doing my best to convey it in translation here. And I'm working with the best I can, because we have our puny 20th century minds can only understand so much.
It really,
it's so awesome.
Really paints a picture of the world that is, it looks so different than your brain can muster.
Right.
Every animal referenced is likely a biogenetic mutation of something that is completely different, or like a scientifically composed species that is nothing like any of the ones that we know. They're just, these are the closest possible words to imply it's a mount. It's a horse.
Yeah, I got to use maybe an extinct animal so you see how like weird and different it is. But that's the best I can do, because there's really no way to convey what this actually is.
Even saying the word metal. Yeah, you could picture like a metal wall and Severian being obsessed with these metal walls and coming up to the wall and the gate in the end of the book being like, oh, it's nostalgic seeing this material. He talks about the metal of the walls being something specific and nostalgic. And I'm like, in my brain, because everything feels so medieval, like rusty ass wall.
Yeah.
Nay, it's gotta be future metal. He lives in a spaceship. It's gotta be like future bulkhead ass metal walls.
But it's not even metal. It's like some alloy that we haven't experienced on
yet.
Earth. Yeah.
Cool.
I also love the idea of like, I'm not making any of this up. This was all relayed to me by people who've been studying this for so many. I'm
post-historic.
Yeah. I'm so happy to have had all the help of people. I actually got to photograph some of this stuff. It's like that grounding such a wild, speculative fiction world in that way is just masterful. I loved it.
Delightful.
So cool.
Yeah.
I almost wish that was at the beginning, but it is a neat treat at the end of the book to be like, hey man, everything you read, recontextualize it through this. Pretty
and
rad.
There's so many pieces in there that like little one-off sentences that as we're talking through like the main beats of it, they mention like, oh, and then era before the whole river was poisoned. And you're like, okay, the river's I think we did know the river was poisoned, but to what extent that recently somebody could remember a version of it where it's not. It's like, is the river actually made out of water? There's just like so many little questions that this book sparks. And having this filter is one of those things that going through and thinking of every destriant reference. That's like a weird, this giant dog animal he refers to as a destriant. I'm pretty sure it's like, oh, it's a crazy wolf thing. Like, what are we doing here? It's cool.
It's just a translator. I'm just translating. And that's what makes me think that this is sort of like a holy book for this culture to come, this future. Anyway, all right. I have a few. There's one that's like exceedingly long that I was going to do that I don't necessarily need to do. It's just so long. But I have one quick one. I like this. I can't remember who this is. I think this is Dorcas saying this. I think this is Dorcas. She says, if we could have our way, no man would have to go roving or draw blood. But women did not make the world. All of you are torturers one way or another.
Good one.
Pretty good.
I like that. It's interesting to have there be such rampant sexism through the entire book, or at least from Severian's perspective, and then have a female character say something thoughtful and progressive in that particular way.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. There's I forget, what is this? This is Severian getting dinner with people when he woke up and he went to like the barracks. I heard they brought in one of you Carnifexes last night, but he was nearly dead himself. Have you been to see him? I said I had not. One of our patrols reported him, and when the Chiliarch heard of it, he sent them back to bring him, seeing we were sure to need one in a day or so. They swear they didn't touch him, but they had to bring him back on a litter. I don't know if he's one of your comrades, but you might want to take a look. I promised I would, and after thanking the soldiers for their hospitality, left them. I was worried about Dorcas, and their questioning, that was clearly well meant, made me uneasy. There were too many things I could not explain. How I had come to be injured, for example. If I had admitted I was the man who had been carried in the night before, and where Dorcas had come from. Not really understanding those things myself bothered me at least as much, and I felt as we always feel when there is a whole sector of our lives that cannot bear light, that no matter how far the last question had been from one of the forbidden subjects, the next would pierce to the heart of it.
That's so good.
That sort of description of anxiety, of like secret holding and feeling like you have something that you can't talk about, you can't possibly, is an interesting and heartbreaking concept that was well depicted in that moment.
So good. All right, I am going to do this long one.
Yes.
I'll try to cut it off a little earlier, but this is fascinating sort of musings on the world. History shows that every age has some unquestioned neurosis, and Master Pelemon had taught me that clemency is ours, a way of saying that one less one is more than nothing, that since human law need not be self-consistent, justice need not be so either. There is a dialogue in the Brown Book somewhere between two Misties, in which one argues that culture was an outgrowth of the vision of the increate as logical and just, bound by interior consistency to fulfill his promises and threats. If that was the case, I thought, surely we will perish now, and the invasion from the north that so many have died to resist is no more than the wind that topples a tree already rotten. Justice is a high thing, and that night when I lay beside Dorcas listening to the rain, I was young, so that I desired high things only. That, I think, was why I so desired that our guild regain the position and regard it had once possessed. And I still desired that even then, when I had been cast out of it. Perhaps it was for the same reason that the love of living things, which I had felt so strongly as a child, had declined until it was hardly more than a memory when I found poor Triskel bleeding outside the Bear Tower. Life, after all, is not a high thing, and in many ways is the reverse of purity. I am wise now, if not much older, and I know it is better to have all things high and low than to have the high only. Unless the Chiliarch decided then to grant clemency, tomorrow I would take Aglas's life. No one can say what that means. The body is a colony of cells. I used to think of our obolette when Master Pomelone said that. Divided into two major parts, it perishes. But there is no reason to mourn the destruction of a colony of cells. Such a colony dies each time a loaf of bread goes into the oven. If a man is no more than such a colony, a man is nothing. But we know instinctively that a man is more. What happens then to that part that is more? It may be that it perishes as well, though more slowly.
That's a good quote. That's worth the length, baby.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an interesting, like, diversion in the middle of the book to be like, I'm just gonna talk about something really deep.
Something really deep. The enjoyment of things, and why would I care? Why are these cells good, but these cells nothing?
Yeah. What else
How do
is
we
there?
know
I mean, it's
that?
kind of,
Yeah.
is there a soul kind of a discussion? It's
Yeah.
very interesting. Yeah.
I got one more here that is another sort of like introspective little thing. You miss, it's Dorcas talking to Severn. You miss Agia, don't you? Did you like her so much? I only knew her for a day, much less time than I've known you already. If she had her way, I'd be dead now. One of those two Averns would have been the end of me. But the leaf didn't kill you. I still recall the tone she used when she told me that. Indeed, if I close my eyes now, I can hear her voice again and renew the shock I felt as I realized that ever since I had sat up to see Aglas still grasping his plant, I had been avoiding the thought. The leaf had not killed me, but I had turned my mind from my survival just as a man suffering from a deadly sickness manages by 1,000 tricks never to look at death squarely. Or rather, as a woman alone in a large house refrains from looking into mirrors, and instead busies herself with trivial errands so that she may catch no glimpse of the thing whose feet she hears at times on the stairs.
I picked that one too. It's so good.
Oh, give me chills when I read it.
No, do you want to catch a glimpse of the thing behind you on the stairs? Oof. All right, I have one last one. I like this one. This is not very long. A crowd is not the sum of the individuals who compose it. Rather, it is a species of animal without language or real consciousness, born when they gather, dying when they depart.
And
so good.
So good. And honestly, another like group of cells kind of
Yeah.
seeing those two quotes back to back. It's interesting. Those sort of like
Yeah.
themes of what is a being, sentience, groups.
And it's so true. So
Yeah.
true. You are this weird organism as a group that doesn't exist before, that doesn't exist after, that is unique, behave in different. I mean, we've all
Mob
these
mentality.
studies. Yeah. All these studies show that people behave differently in groups than they would individually. So insightful. So good.
Enjoyable read. Delicious little
I agree.
discoveries.
Yeah. Such a bizarre book in so many ways, a bizarre ending to a book, bizarre, it's such a little hard thing to grasp at. I'm not really sure. All this stuff about Votalist that we seem to have completely just abandoned.
Whatever that is.
Yeah.
I'm sure that somebody is listening just being like, you're not going to talk at all about what Hathor said? And I'm like, I couldn't ingest it. I'll think about it later.
Yeah. I mean, literally a fight broke out while he was talking. So I don't even know.
No, that was Jonas. Hathor,
Oh,
when
yeah,
it
that
comes
was
to
Jonas.
Severian, is like,
right.
He has the bit about the quasar, and then he comes up
yeah.
and he's like, all this other stuff that I was like, that will become important when it becomes important. So the constant refrain of, if you know, don't tell us.
That's
We're enjoying the mystery.
We are enjoying the not knowing and the discovering. We will continue on with Claw of the Conciliator. I'm not exactly sure what next week will bring. We're hoping to get somebody on to talk about, obviously Gene Wolfe is no longer with us, so we can't have the author on to discuss these books, but we're hoping to get somebody to come in and chat with us that has some, expert knowledge on this stuff. We'll see what I can scrounge together. Either way, eventually we're going to be continuing on with this series, seeing where can't stop now. It's literally just a pause.
We're going to get some chapter breakdowns. I think the old Jeff Bodini will hit up the chat with those.
So check the Discord. Our Discord is 5x5 DLC. On Discord, there is a book club and there will be a Claw of the Conciliator thread there. So check that for the chapter breakdowns. Hope you're with us. Hope you're having fun. One more little thing. In the Discords, be very spoiler aware, because even if you're coming in and you're a little bit behind spoiler tagging, we've had people join us for it's very cool to see people joining the book club for Malaz and stuff. Even though we aren't talking about the next book, we want to keep those threads really clean and really fresh for anybody who might be joining a little bit later who wants to go through those discussions and chat with people. So use those spoiler tags. Better safe than sorry, babies. Agreed. I'm so glad you said that. There are also, with the Malazan stuff, there's threads for each of the books that we want to keep specific to everything, only the stuff that's happened up to that book. But there's also like Malazan Book of the Fallen general thing, and there's also Book of the New Sun general thread where you can talk about the whole series if you so choose, with others that have read the whole series. So you can, keep stuff to Shadow of the Torturer in the Shadow of the Torturer thread, and then do the Book of the New Sun thread for larger topics. Very exciting. Always fun to finish a book, even though this one kind of ends on a cliffhanger. But we'll see you next time. Keep dancing.
When the world's too dark of a place to be, and you need an escape from reality, open up those pages. It's sci-fi or fantasy, whatever genre you please. And join a book club, 'cause you won't read it on your own. Join a book club, so you'll be held accountable. It's just a means to an end, but you're doing it with your